All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started. So before we get started today, I'll introduce you to our team that is on the call. So first and foremost, we have Patrick Benson. He is a systems engineer with Veeam. Patrick specializes in designing solutions to protect client data and ensure that business activities continue after disruptive events. With over a decade of experience as a customer, coupled with years of selling various products as both a vendor and a reseller, he understands that great technology is only a starting point for solving the complex problems that the organizations face. He holds multiple VMCEs and is a certified member of the Business Continuity Institute and served as one of the leaders of the Chicago VMware user group from 2014 to 2021. When he is not working with technology, he is either enjoying time with his family or he is camping in the great outdoors, and preferably he'd like to do both. Next up, we have Becky Noliner, and she is a senior enterprise account manager with Veeam. Prior to Veeam, she spent several years leading sales for an Atlanta-based startup, then moved into IT sales for global hospitality partners with the NCR Corporation with a focus on full-scale POS solutions and kiosk management. Becky has collaborated in numerous technology projects to increase business profitability, streamline operations, and guide enterprise companies through digital transformation. As a known enthusiast in the enterprise software industry, she holds several accolades, including multiple Chairman President's Clubs, leadership and performance awards, and ambassador roles. And outside her career, Becky enjoys spending time with her husband, her 3-year-old son, 6-year-old daughter, and has a passion for community, wellness, and volunteering locally. And from the Keller Schrader side, we have Jason Smith. Jason Smith is the account manager with the management group here at Keller Schrader. He's been here for 9 years. And prior to coming here, he owned a small IT consulting business for 5 years. He has been in the industry for 20 years and has worked with Veeam for 7 of those years. Jason is a client advocate, helping find and manage solutions to make positive impacts for the clients he serves, and he is passionate about ensuring the best outcome for his customers. Outside of work, he is married and has 3 beautiful daughters. One of them's a newborn, and he loves anything outdoors, and his personal goal is to ensure that anyone around him is always taken care of and enjoying life. And last but not least, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Mallory Treadway, and I am a marketing coordinator with the Impact Growth Group here at Keller Schrader. I've been with Keller Schrader for over 3 years, and today I'll be the moderator for this call. So as we go through the presentation, if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I'll monitor that, and we'll get those answered. And with that, Becky, I'll kick it to you to talk a little bit about Veeam Universal Licensing.
You're on mute, Becky.
Yes, I am. We don't use WebEx that much anymore. Hey guys, I'm Becky Nolner. I am with Veeam Software. So appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us today and learn a little more about Veeam. So Veeam, obviously we're a software company. We handle backup and replication, disaster recovery for a multitude of workloads, as well as Office 365 and Kasten. Kasten is our latest edition. That's the native backup for Kubernetes as well. So we've got a broad range of solutions here. So the one thing that Jason wanted me to focus on today was to talk a little bit about this new licensing model that we have. It's called VUL, or Veeam Universal Licensing. We're really excited about this. We've been using it for a few years now. Prior to that, it was more of a socket-based license. So we're moving to a universal model, which is great for our clients. We've got about, I think it's, I don't know, Patrick, 80% adoption right now. So the great thing about it is that the new license can be used for any type of workload. So on-prem, virtual, cloud native, physical, unstructured data, enterprise application. So there's a multitude of workloads you can use it for just the license. So in the past, if you had socket-based licensing, when you started moving to cloud, you would need to purchase a new license for the cloud base. So now it's wonderful because you can literally buy the license and move it anywhere you need to, right? So, if you've got stuff on-prem and you're slowly moving to cloud, no worries, you still have the same amount of licenses. It is based upon the number of workloads or number of VMs. So I think that's a little different for our clients because they're used to having the socket based. What we're finding is a lot of people may have, say, 10 sockets, but then when you look at a VMs, you may have, 100 VMs. The density is a little different depending upon who the client is, but so that's the model that we're moving to. Like I said, high adoption rate, people are really liking it. Something that I already know so too is the VUL model comes in perpetual base or subscription base. So you can still have that, if your business is more focused on the perpetual licensing model, you can still do that with the VUL model. So I don't want to scare people into thinking, oh, Veeam's moving everything to subscription, because we're not, right? We want to be flexible for our clients, and we want to do what works best with your budget, obviously. With the VUL, it comes fully featured, so you're going to have access to every feature that Veeam offers. CDP is a big one that a lot of people are excited about. Obviously, cloud, hybrid cloud. So you'll have access to every feature that we have, plus 24/7 support. So really great license model. So the end of sale for sockets will officially be January 1st of 2023. Initially, it was going to be July 1st, but I think the one thing that we have learned is Veeam has a ton of clients that are public sector, as well as, the large enterprise global clients. So as you can assume, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for those type of folks to move over to licensing and make big changes like that at a company. So we've extended out a little bit, give our clients more time to get situated, make sure they've got the right solution into place, and do what's best for them. After January 1st, you can still renew your socket-based licensing. So we're not making you move, nothing like that. You can continue to renew those sockets as you need to. The only change will be you can't buy net new sockets. So if you need to add sockets to your environment, you won't be able to add to that. You'll have to move to the VUL model. You'll have to purchase a VUL model. The downside of that is they'll need to be managed in 2 separate environments. So I think that's really the only downside when it comes to moving to VUL. Other than that, if your environment's pretty steady and you're on sockets right now, just continue to renew them, do business as is. If you start to move to cloud, we can look at converting you to the universal model. We can also look at, if you need a separate environment. There's a lot of flexibility there. We really just want to do what's best for you guys. So, Jason, anything that I haven't covered that you want me to touch on?
No, that's a really good overview, Becky. Thank you.
Sure.
You and I have worked together on a couple of these transitions already, and
Yeah.
and we've successfully transitioned some customers. I think that there was hesitation at the beginning, though, from everybody that we've talked to, thinking, hey, I'm highly saturated in my socket-based licensing today. There's no way I can transition over to the VUL model and without spending a lot more money. So can you tell us a little bit about how we overcame some of those hurdles?
Yeah, I can. So there's a couple things here. So for people who are already Veeam clients that are looking to migrate to that VUL model, we've got discounts built in for you. Obviously, you're a legacy client, so that's really important to us. So we want to make sure that this is best for your budget. Outside the built-in discounts and then the out-year discounts, we can also work with you on pricing. We're never going to be the company that says this is the price and we got to find a way to make it work, right? And Jason, I know you and we worked back and forth with a couple clients about, okay, what's, where do we need to be budget wise? Like, how can we help you? We can get creative. So there's a way to work around that. Plus the VUL model is great too, because you buy this license and it's transferable. So it's not like you're buying a socket that's perpetual and then next thing you know, you move to cloud. Now you can't even use the license anymore. And perpetual, as you know, are more expensive up front. So if you put a large investment in perpetual and then you move to cloud, you're going to have to buy more again. So it just makes sense to do the VUL model, move it where you need it. Workstations, we cover that too. So put it where you need it. you'll have the ideal support and ideal features as well, and we'll work with your budget.
Yeah, and I think in both of the examples I'm thinking of, we were able to transition people over to the VUL model for the same cost as their 3-year renewal price was, or at least within a couple percentage points of that. And in one of those instances, it actually played to the favor of a customer because, you know, they needed to back up some assets on a host that they didn't have socket-based licensing on quite yet. And so the timing for them worked out where by going to the VUL model, they actually were able to cover that backup process now for as long as they want to. It was going to be a temporary thing for them. So, you know, I think there's a lot of benefits outside of just cloud. I know as account managers that we're going to try to, people often think we're going to try to spin it to the best of our ability. But at the same time, I think that this is one of those cases where Veeam has really come to the plate, and they're helping people make that transition and try to stay cost neutral. So at least that's what I've seen. I think that your team educated me a lot on that whenever we first started talking back in January. So appreciate it. Is there anything else that you can think of, hurdles that customers have thrown at us that might be worth mentioning?
Not really. I mean, really, you know, the biggest challenge has just been people changing models, right? They get to something, they're comfortable with it, and you know, to make a change in some of these enterprise accounts, it requires the ear of leadership, and people are busy, right? They don't want to sit down and have to make a change. So, you know, that's a good thing about it though, too, Jason, is they can keep renewing their sockets if they need to, if they need more flexibility, if they need more features. I mean, there's, you know, we have a lot of clients like the ones that we've worked on together, right? Where they had just the basic sockets and their features were like way down here. They had no idea what else that we had access to. So when you start talking about things like WAN acceleration and CDP and things like that, that they can get for the same price, you know, it becomes a conversation of what do you need? What can we help you with? And how can we stay within your budget?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think lastly, Becky, it's worth mentioning these promos that Veeam has put in place to help people make that transition. Well, they were just through July, but I'm assuming now, are they through January as well?
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay.
and we're constantly changing and maneuvering and making sure that they fit our clients' needs. So yeah, we'll for sure. There's built-in discounting. Really, it's just about having a conversation. Like what we, you know, first thing we're asked is, okay, you have this many sockets. How many VMs are being covered under those sockets? From there, we'll put together an entire TCO like we did with you know, based upon the number of VMs. Here's the discount structure. Here's the out-year discounts that we're going to build in to cover you as a legacy client. So yeah, it's a lot of
Perfect.
flexibility.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Becky, for that explanation. That was
Of
perfect.
course.
Mallory, I think the important thing is here, you know, we want our customers to have some open dialogue with all of our account managers and our extended Veeam team and engineers. And I think this is an opportunity for a lot of our customers to kind of have some uplifts in what they're doing with Veeam today and potentially increase the profit, you know, the ROI on the product they've already invested in.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Becky, for explaining that to us.
Sure.
Further ado, I'll kick it over to you. Patrick, do you want to provide us with an update on what you guys learned from Veeam On last week?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on the webinar, by the way. And Veeam On was a huge success. For those of you who were not able to attend, I will give you a brief summary of what's happening. We announced our V12 product. It will be out later this year, and there's been some massive improvements to how we will be able to interact with different forms of storage, as well as some core architecture improvements. Some of the ones pardon me, I just got done with a camping trip and I'm still dealing with the smoke inhalation. But much better. But the wonderful thing about the Veeam solution and Veeam On highlighted this is that we're listening to our customers. We're continuing to improve the product in ways that they're requesting. So I think the biggest new feature or capability of the of the Veeam on, sorry, the Veeam V12 solution mentioned at Veeam on is that we're going to be able to do direct to object storage. Having direct to object storage is now going to allow customers to have even more options when it comes to designing their infrastructure. Going direct to object storage doesn't mean going direct to cloud. I want to emphasize that, because what we're seeing in the market today is some really affordable solutions coming out for on-prem object storage. So what does that mean for you as an end user? Well, you're going to be able to take advantage of a lower cost, high performing solution that you can have on-prem, but because it's object storage, you're going to have a lot more flexibility. That's the wonderful thing about object storage. You're not doing a bunch of volume setup. You're not doing a lot of block configuration like you would with your traditional SAN, doing fiber channel and iSCSI. Instead, you're focused on just, hey, I need a destination for my backups, right? On top of that, if you wanted to, you could go direct to a cloud object storage solution. Now, I'm going to caution people not to do that. The reason being is because if you ever have to do a restore, pulling from the cloud, you're going to probably encounter some performance issues, as well as you may have egress fees. And who wants unexpected fees for doing a restore? That being said, if you're already in the cloud, you're now able to go directly to an S3 or a blob storage container, and it's just going to make your design cleaner, smoother, easier to operate. So some other big announcements from the V12 announcement of Veeam on. We're going to allow you to use Postgres as your SQL database. If you're not familiar with Postgres, it is an open source architecture, and this allows you to eliminate another cost, a Microsoft SQL license. Now, you can still use Microsoft SQL. We're big fans of Microsoft's product suite, obviously. But some customers were saying, hey, I need something that performs better than SQL Express. I don't want to have to use one of my Microsoft SQL licenses for the Veeam solution. What can you do? And we introduced Postgres. So now you're going to have great capabilities there. In fact, one of the reasons why we made the change is because it's going to perform better than Microsoft SQL Express. So if you're a smaller shop and you're using the SQL Express database, you know that by design, Microsoft has put limitations on that product. I want to say it's 1 core and 4 gig of RAM. That's all you get. It'll never use more resources than that. So Postgres, that limitation is eliminated. You will be able to go back and forth as you change, as your environment grows. So that's going to be a feature. Don't worry about being locked in. We're not trying to set you up on a path to Postgres. We're giving the option of Postgres. And another huge announcement that was made, we're going to be providing backup for Salesforce. So Veeam backup for Salesforce, this is something that has been a long time coming. And let me explain that in a little bit more detail. So just real quick, Valerie, I noticed that I'm not being highlighted in the main screen. Is that something you need me to change on my side?
You're on the main screen for us.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I was just like, oh, why am I still on the little screen? All right. Okay, so when it comes to the Veeam backup for Salesforce, I love the story behind this. As it was told to me, the development of this product began because we use Salesforce internally at Veeam. And we had an issue and we couldn't get the data back because we were using the native tools for Salesforce. It was, way back. Nobody was able to back up Salesforce. So our team internally was like, let's never have that happen again. And they developed an internal solution for us to use for our own needs. That was 4 years ago. So when it comes to the product development of the Veeam backup for Salesforce, We've been eating our own dog food for the last 4 years internally, and we live and breathe Salesforce. I am a pre-sales resource. It is the #1 tool that I'm using all day long. All of my notes go into Salesforce. All of my opportunities that I have to keep track of are in Salesforce. All of my contacts are in Salesforce. Everything that I need to do is in Salesforce. So you can imagine, for us, Salesforce is mission critical. And because we developed the backup capability around our own needs, we made sure it was bulletproof, obviously. So now we simply took this product that we already had internally for the last 4 years, and we said, what do we need to do to make this commercially viable so that all of our customers can have access to it if they want it? And therefore, we came up with the whole let's do Veeam backup for Salesforce, and that's going to be available very soon, as announced at Veeam. We're going to have that probably on the shelf, I want to say in the next 2 months. So a lot of exciting stuff came out. And if I were to go over all of the details, we need a lot more than an hour to talk about what happened at Veeam this year. I think if you look at what we're doing and how we're moving forward, we're making sure that we're in lockstep with what the customers need. This PostgreSQL database, that came directly from customers who didn't want to have that SQL Express. It just isn't adequate for their needs. And yet maybe they're budget tight and they can't get a SQL license. It happens. Now we have a solution for them. Going direct to object storage, we're opening up a whole new path for customers to design their infrastructure with, and it's going to make their jobs easier. That's the kind of flexibility that I want from a solution that's all about data management. And Veeam is definitely a data management solution. It's not just backup and recovery. So with that, are there any other questions for me, or would you like me to go into some more details to what else has been announced with the V12 release?
We did have one question come through. Any
Mhm.
plan to develop backups for other CRMs that aren't Salesforce?
You know, that's going to be something for the product management team to address. I know that there have been requests from the field for the Microsoft CRM solution that is part of the MS365 suite. And I believe that's the Microsoft Dynamics solution. That has come up on multiple occasions. Will we develop a product around it? I don't know at this time. I couldn't in good faith tell you that. I can tell you that it's being heard. The request is bubbling up more and more often. And the best way to see a Veeam product emerge from your request, go and join the Veeam forums. It's forums.veeam.com. Become a member of the forums, cost you nothing. It's open to everybody. Go to the various sites within there, the various threads, and you'll find an MS365 backup thread. Request it there. If there is another CRM that I haven't mentioned that you want to see us support, go to the forums and start asking questions for 2 reasons. If there's enough requests, our product management team is very, very active on the forums. They listen there. If there's enough requests, it could become an actual product. But the second reason is that we may be able to back it up already, and you'll be able to interact with other users who might have solved the problem, as well as our architects, myself, and other engineers. We're all on that forum. So if you go there, you'll either find out that the problem has been solved, here's how to do it, or your voice will be heard, and there's a possibility you'll see that product in the future. Great question, by the way. Keep them coming. I'm more than happy to keep on addressing them. So going back to some of the changes that are going to be brought into the product with V12 and things that were mentioned at Veeam. I don't know if any of the customers on the webinar today are using our continuous data protection, But if you're interested in that, we're going to start introducing the Linux proxy to be used for continuous data protection. That's going to, again, give you more flexibility, more options. We're going to continue to develop different existing solutions to be more robust. One of the big things is that if you're an AIX or a Solaris shop and you're protecting that data with Veeam, we will be bringing about bare metal restore for those operating systems. That's one of those things that I never thought was going to be coming because it's such an older pair of OSs, but we still find a lot of customers need to protect those environments. So we listened, and again, they said, hey, I need bare metal restore. Okay, you got it. Comes in version 12. So with all of this going on, you know, there's easily, as I said, 280 plus slides in my V12 update deck. I'm not going to bore you with all of them, but just know that Veeam is constantly listening to our end users, constantly looking for more ways to improve, and we're going to continue to expand the portfolio to include whatever it is that you need. I'm just happy and thrilled to be part of a company that really takes what customers say to heart and does their best to respond. So I know that's, you know, just the tip of the iceberg. Any other questions from the field, or should I go into some more detail as to what else was done at Veeam on this year?
We don't have any other questions as of now, and I know we still have
Mhm.
some time, so if you want to go ahead and keep on going, I'll let you know if we get any more questions.
That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
Mallory, I did have kind of somebody ping me on the back end saying that they had some additional interest in the V12 items and other things that they might have missed on Veeam at Veeam.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of stuff coming out in V12, and you know, there's multiple. It's not like we're just focusing on the direct object storage, which of course is a big part of V12. We're also looking at, let's see, we're going to make some improvements to the security. We're going to be introducing multi-factor authentication to access the console with. Now that's a big deal because anyone who is dealing with a modern infrastructure today knows that ransomware and attacks against your data, they're focused on going after backups. They love to compromise your get out of jail plan, right? They want to make sure that you are stuck having to negotiate with them, that you're going to have to pay that ransom. So we already have features like immutability. And if you're not storing your backups on immutable storage today, I highly suggest you reach out to your Veeam SE, find out how easy it is to deploy our Linux hardened repository. That's something we introduced in version 11. It's been very successful. But if you don't have immutability, at least find out how to get your backups into the cloud and maybe apply it there, and set up multi-factor authentication when V12 comes out. Anything you can do, any roadblock you can put in the way for the bad guys, it's just going to buy you more time to detect what they're doing. It's also going to make you less appealing of a target, right? When we look at these organizations, they are basically crimes of opportunity. They're finding the weakest security models out there, and that's whom they're going after. They're not going to waste all day trying to attack someone who's secured their stuff in the proper manner. If you're using immutability, if you're using multi-factor authentication, if you have set up your architecture that you have multiple points of redundancy, you're not someone who's worth their time. You're someone whom they're going to have to work to get that attack off, right? And these are criminals. Already we can establish just by the fact that they're criminals that they're looking for an easy score, right? So multi-factor authentication coming in for the VBR console, teamed up with other features we already have our secure restore, our immutability on Linux, our immutability through other partners' technology. This is going to give you something that is much more robust, much stronger in the field to protect your data with. What else could we focus on for Veeam On? And I'm just trying to sort through everything that's in my head from the Veeam On event. We have a number of other features coming out soon. Looking at my cheat sheet here, I'm trying to think of what would be the most interesting for your audience. With the scale out backup repository, we're going to be able to do multiple buckets per SOBR tier. That's going to give you more flexibility there. If you're not familiar with what a SOBR is, that's our scale out backup repository. That allows you to have multiple forms of storage form a single backup repository. And because we're going to be introducing these multiple buckets, you're going to have more flexibility with a solution that's already highly flexible to begin with. So let's see here. Bring up my 1 second. Well, apparently my notes aren't working with me here.
Patrick, we have a lot of customers that use SAP. Anything new in V12 around SAP?
With the SAP plugins, I do not know of any major improvements that came about from V12. So, but let me double check our full list to see if there's anything with the agents. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't see any big changes when it comes to the SAP plugin. Now, that being said, we're always working on improving our technology. So don't think just because there wasn't a major announcement, there are not changes being made. We're constantly looking at the software. The SAP solution, though, is pretty robust and pretty solid. Have your customers expressed any desire for new features that maybe we should talk about? Maybe.
Nothing comes to mind right off the top of my head. I just know that we have several that are big SAP customers, and I was just curious what V12 might have held for that.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did not see any announcements regarding the SAP product, but that's kind of a testament to how solid it is already. Now, does that mean we've stopped development on it? Nope, absolutely not. We're going to continue to improve it. I would just say that probably it's going to be a version 13. If nothing happened this release, we'll see what happens with version 13. So all in all, I just want to emphasize once again that when it comes to our portfolio, the things that we provide, what we're really looking for is communication with our end users. We're always hoping that our next big idea is not just going to be some eureka moment inside Veeam. It's going to be something that an end user brought to our attention, because the world is a much bigger lab than what we can have, right? Having you guys on the field share your thoughts and your ideas, that's how we make a great product. This is a community-driven company. We give back with our community edition. We're very focused on getting user feedback via the forums. We make Veeam On available to you as a virtual event for free because we want community involvement. So again, if you are not a member of the Veeam forums, go join it. Go start contributing to the discussion, and we'll continue to make great products based upon what you're telling us. Some other things that you may not be aware of is that we have Veeam user groups. Ask again your sales team, where's the local Veeam user group? Can I be a part of that? Because if you can't attend something like Veeam On in person, which is understandable, and you can't make it to the virtual event, the Veeam user group is kind of a mini Veeam On, something that you can be a part of today, something that you can possibly contribute to as well. We're hoping that everyone who is a Veeam user doesn't feel like they're just someone we sold a product to. That's not the goal. We want you to realize that we have a partnership with you, a partnership that we respect, and a partnership that we feel is beneficial to us as well as to you. So please join the forums, join the Veeam user groups, and continue to give us your feedback, your input, because that's how we really make the best data management solution on the market today. It's as much about you and your input as it is about us and our talent. So I think I've covered pretty much, the big items when it comes to the V12 updates that are going to really spark interest. But I'm going to just go through the full list real quick to see if it sparks any conversation. Core architecture improvements, we've talked about Postgres. We're going to be changing how we do per machine backup chains. The Veeam Mover is a code name for a new copy and move backups solution. Background retention is being updated. Unified backup copy jobs are being introduced. We will allow for multiple gateway servers. IPv6 support will be on all products. We have a new compression algorithm. We're going to see improvements there. When it comes to security and compliance, we've already mentioned the MFA for the council. We're also going to have Kerberos support. We're going to introduce a auto log off feature. So if you walk away from your desk, it's still going to lock it up so that you don't have to worry about someone coming up and doing something malicious. We're going to do some classified data marking. That's going to be a way for you to basically know whether or not something is sensitive. Object storage, already introduced the direct object storage, talked about that. We're going to introduce immutability for grandfather, father, son backups as part of the object storage. NAS backup, we're going to be able to, again, do direct to object storage. So if you're already doing NAS file share backups, direct to object storage is going to be supported for those jobs as well. We're going to have an archive copy mode introduced to the NAS backups. Immutability support has been improved in the version 12, as well as rotated drives. If you're going to be using rotated drives, we'll support that now for NAS. Also, we can publish NFS as an SMB share. That's the feature that some of the customers have been asking for. CDP, we are now going to introduce a ability to go to VCD. That's going to allow you to actually do CDP to a virtual cloud instance via Cloud Connect. That is something that actually one of our partners had demonstrated at Veeam, and they had great success with that. When it comes to the agent management, and this could apply to the SAP agent, direct object storage, again, is supported on everything. We're also looking at GMSA support for those of you who are interested in that. Veeam agent for Windows, we're going to allow for block level incremental file backups. And we're going to allow for SQLite as a configuration database. When it comes to the Veeam agent for Linux, GFS support is now introduced, and LVM snapshots. So if you're using a logical volume, LVM is going to now have snapshot capabilities that we can integrate with. And Veeam agent for Mac. I personally have not sold to any customer who's using Mac today, but we do have an agent for Mac, and we're going to be introducing universal package as well as a resume jobs capability. Application integrations, we are going to continue to develop our enterprise plugins. So hardened repository support, IPv6, centralized management, and a plugin for SQL for VDI. Primary and secondary storage integrations, Nimble peer persistence support, StoreOne's Catalyst immutability support, StoreOne's Cloud Bank support, Fujitsu Eternus CS800 integration, Infinidat InfiniGuard integration, in the new Universal Storage API 2.0. That last one's very, very important because now more manufacturers will be able to develop their technology to be compatible with Veeam. Because we're providing this universal storage API, I think you're going to see that section of the Veeam console where, okay, choose your storage target. I think you're going to see it blow up with a lot more names that are familiar. Right now, you probably see things HPE, Dell, EMC, Pure Storage, they're already listed. That list is going to continue to grow, but now it's going to be able to take off. I'm hoping to see some of the smaller providers, some of the smaller manufacturers, the Synologies and the QNAPs for the shops that are, using, let's just say, less than enterprise grade equipment because for whatever reason they just have a budget issue. If they're able to develop some plugins, I think that'll be a great benefit to the SMB market, because we already got the enterprise players. I want to see this actually work from the top down so everyone can have Veeam integration. Tape support is getting better. We're going to improve the LTO9 support and our REST API. It is constantly being improved. We're seeing the enterprise manager get an uplift with the REST API. The council and all the small things is how it's being referred to. We want to make sure that that RESTful API is accessible for anything that you do via Veeam, so that you have something that's a universal plugin approach. So that's the big list of everything that's showing up in version 12. You couple that with our, sorry? I wonder if someone's off mute.
Yeah, sorry, it was me, Patrick. I jumped off. We had another person ping me asking about the Veeam user groups, and how do we find out if there's one locally, or where the closest one might be?
So the best way to find out about your Veeam user group is to first reach out to your sales team. They will be able to set you up with the local Veeam user group chapter. The best thing about the Veeam user groups is that we're highly involved with them as system engineers. I do a lot of presentations to the Veeam user groups. So if you're interested in a Veeam user group, please talk to your sales team, talk to your SE. But you can also go to community.veeam.com, and there is a page there with the Veeam user groups. You can find a new group, and you'll see we have the America is listed as a separate one. Click on the link, and you're going to see VUG Canada, VUG USA, VUG Latin America, VUG Brazil. All right, so if I go to VUG USA, I have a join group, create a Veeam account to log in. If you don't have one, please create one. And there, community.veeam.com, that's your gateway to find the Veeam user group via the internet. But I emphasize engage your sales team, because they're going to know about the next event. They're probably presenting at the next event, as well as they'll know the other key players in the community whom you might want to be introduced to, other customers who have ideas and experience that can help you with your environment. Great question, by the way.
Thanks, appreciate that.
So we have 12 minutes left. Were there any other questions? Any other items that you'd like me to talk about from the big list of new features coming out in V12?
I didn't have any other questions on my end. Jason, did you have anything else?
No, nothing's popped up here, Mallory. I think everybody's ready for Memorial Day weekend.
I know I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be resting up and recovering from my hiking and camping trip. So.
Hey man, I wish I could get out. My new little girl is going to keep us close to home this weekend, but it's all worth it, so it's good.
Oh yeah. Well.
Hey, we did have one other question that just came in.
Oh yeah.
What MFA will the V12 version, the upgrade, support?
Great question. I believe Duo is the first, but let me go direct to the source here. And you can tell there's so much in here that I'm still learning all of the new features we're going to be supporting in all the little details. Yeah, Duo is the first one that I've seen on the list, but there should be more coming as we test against other solutions. And yeah, I'm seeing Duo as the first one, and I believe we're going to start introducing things such as Google has their, what is it, the Google Connect and the Microsoft Secure. So once that final list is out, I'll make sure you guys get a copy of it, but expect to start with Duo.
Perfect. Thank you.
Well, I
All
still
right.
any other questions. So I just wanted to go ahead and wrap up today. Thank you, Becky, for providing that update on the Veeam licensing. And Patrick, thanks for updating us on Veeam On. It sounds like there's a lot of great features in the works. So looking forward to see everything Veeam has to offer. And then thank you so much for our attendees who joined us live. We were recording this, so you'll get a copy of this recording in a follow-up email. And if you know anyone who didn't make it, go ahead and feel free to pass it on. So thank you guys.
Thanks all.
Thank you, Mallory. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone.